The wind across the desert range carried a strange kind of silence that morning. Targets stood almost 2 miles away, barely visible through shimmering heat waves. Even the seasoned Navy SEALs knew how difficult the distance was, 3,000 yards, a shot so long that even professionals sometimes missed. One by one, the elite shooters stepped up, steadying their breathing, calculating wind drift and gravity. A few hit close, most didn't. The steel targets in the distance remained stubbornly quiet, and then a soft voice spoke from behind them. Let me try. Before I tell you what happened next, tell me in the comments where you're watching from. I love knowing who's listening. The voice belonged to a young woman standing near the observation benches. She looked out of place among the hardened operators. No tactical vest, no military patches, just a simple jacket, dusty boots, and curious eyes that studied the distant horizon with surprising calm. Several SEALs exchanged amused glances. Visitors occasionally came to watch training exercises. Most simply admired the discipline and skill on display, but asking to take a shot at 3,000 yards? That was something else entirely. One of the instructors, Chief Ramirez, raised an eyebrow. You ever shot at this distance before? He asked, his tone patient but skeptical. The woman hesitated, not out of fear, but as if searching for the right words. Not exactly here, she said quietly. A few chuckles rippled through the group. To them, it sounded like someone politely admitting she had no real experience. And in truth, the request felt almost disrespectful to the years of training these operators had endured. But something in her expression stopped Ramirez from dismissing her outright. It wasn't arrogance, it was focus. After a moment, he gestured toward the rifle resting on the bench. All right, he said, one shot. The wind shifted gently across the sand as the woman approached the firing line. Conversations softened, boots shuffled. A few operators leaned forward with curious smiles, ready to watch the inevitable miss. She knelt behind the rifle. For a moment she didn't touch it. She simply studied the horizon through the scope, her breathing slowing as if she were syncing with the rhythm of the wind itself. Inside her mind, memories stirred, long mountain valleys, cold mornings where sound carried for miles, the quiet voice of someone who had once guided her hands on a rifle just like this. Her grandfather, he had spent his life teaching her patience rather than precision. Anyone can pull a trigger, he used to say. But very few people learn to listen to the world before they do. The young woman adjusted the rifle slightly, just a fraction of an inch. Behind her, the seals watched more closely now. Something about the way she moved felt deliberate, not lucky, practiced. Her finger rested lightly on the trigger. The desert seemed to hold its breath. When the shot finally broke the silence, the sound echoed across the valley like distant thunder. Everyone instinctively looked toward the far horizon. For a second, nothing happened. Then a faint metallic ping drifted back through the air. The steel target had been hit 3,000 yards away. The group fell silent. A few of the operators blinked in disbelief, glancing through spotting scopes to confirm what they had just heard. Ramirez frowned slightly, adjusting his binoculars. Must have been luck, someone murmured quietly. The woman didn't react to the whispers. She calmly cycled the rifle and looked back through the scope. Ramirez crossed his arms. Go ahead, he said slowly. Take another. The second shot came quicker this time. Another echo, another distant metallic ring. This time the silence was heavier. The smiles had disappeared. Several seals stepped closer now, their curiosity turning into genuine respect, because luck doesn't repeat itself like that. By the third shot, nobody spoke at all. They simply watched. And when the third distant ping rolled back across the desert wind, the disbelief finally gave way to something deeper admiration. The woman slowly lifted her head from the rifle. For the first time, she looked slightly nervous, as if worried she might have crossed an invisible line. Ramirez stepped forward, studying her carefully. Where did you learn to shoot like that? He asked. She hesitated again, her gaze drifting briefly toward the mountains far beyond the training range. My grandfather, she answered softly. He used to say distance doesn't matter if you understand patience. Ramirez nodded slowly. The seals standing nearby exchanged quiet glances. For years they had trained to master one of the hardest skills in the world. Yet here stood someone who had learned the same discipline not from military drills but from quiet mornings, and a teacher who understood the art behind the science. One of the operators extended his hand. Respect, he said simply. The woman smiled shyly as she shook it. In that moment, no ranks or titles mattered, only skill, humility, and the shared understanding of what it took to reach that kind of precision. Because greatness often appears where people least expect it, And sometimes the quietest voices carry the strongest lessons. Talent doesn't always wear a uniform, like a single ripple across still water. True skill reveals itself only when the moment calls for it. If this story surprised you, tell us where you're watching from and share your thoughts in the comments. And don't forget to subscribe to Cinematic Whispers for more powerful stories that prove greatness can come from the most unexpected places.